explain because it's a complex technology, but...
From the And the Groove Remains production team studios in the Netherlands, my name is 𝐷 and welcome to this live stream. My mission is not to sell you as many apps as I can. No, my mission is to educate, teach, help you if you like with audio track collection management and conversion for DJs, so you save yourself more time for the fun and creative part of being a DJ. For those of you who don't know who I am, a very quick introduction. I am a 58-year-old dude from the Netherlands. I had my first DJ residency at the age of 15, which means this is over 40 years of DJ experience in the flesh. I am no longer an active DJ. I call myself a retired DJ. I do a few gigs a year, but nothing even close to what it used to be. However, you may know me from a little app that I wrote, and that app is called the DJ Conversion Utility, and that allows you to convert between various DJ software, maintaining your cues, loops and all that other good stuff, so you don't have to redo it if you switch DJ software. This is not the only app I created. I created tons of other apps for DJs, and they are all aimed at making your life as a DJ when it comes to track collection management a little bit easier. Each Tuesday, 7 o'clock PM Central European Time, and that happens to be right now, I host this Ask Me Anything live stream where you can ask me all kinds of questions. We talk DJ tech, we talk about the news, and I answer questions that I gathered during the week ahead. So if you got a question for me and you are live in the chat, drop it in the chat and I'm happy to help you out with it. If you happen to watch this from an archive or a video on demand, then you can always ask me a question in the comment section below and I will answer it the next stream. There was no live stream last week. I had other things to do. So no live stream, and there was not much news either, so that kind of worked together, and for that reason I didn't show up last week, but this week we are here. It's not that I have a huge packed show. There are a few things that we need to discuss and that we will do, which also means if I finished all my topics and answered all the questions that were already asked in the chat, I will close the stream. So if you got a question and you have a hard time typing it all, let me know that you have a question and then I will keep the live stream open a little bit longer. Don't forget, if you watch this, to give the video the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe and all that other good stuff. Please notice that my videos are not monetized. I switched off all the commercials on it simply because it annoys me if I have to watch it back myself. And to be honest, that fucks up the YouTube search algorithm, because the algorithm of course favors videos with the monetization with commercials on. For that reason I need your help to tell other DJs about the availability of this information, totally free online each Tuesday 7 o'clock PM. Before we dive in, let's say hi to the people that are already with us in the chat. The Dutch delinquent, good evening, goedenavond Dutch delinquent, because I assume you are Dutch and a delinquent. Doe the DJ, happy Tuesday, 𝐷 and friends, and Doe also has a question. I will look at the question later on, Doe. Darukas, what's good? Everything is good here, my friend, and good to have you with us. Javaman Sanchez, hi 𝐷, how are you today? I am doing good, Javaman, and thank you for asking. And DJ Matt Official, good evening 𝐷, happy Tuesday from England, happy Tuesday from the Netherlands. And why not get started with the question by Doe. How hard would it be to recreate my Rekordbox playlists in Apple Music and start using music to manage playlists? My files are sorted by genre in the Finder, but sorted into subgenres as playlists in Rekordbox. That won't be too hard, because with the DJ Conversion Utility you can convert from Rekordbox to music, maintaining your playlists. And that's essentially what you ask, so you can do that in the DJ Conversion Utility. Have to see, but maybe we can do a small demonstration with it, because it isn't that hard to do, so maybe we'll do that live later on. Remind me though to show you if I forget, or hey, why not? Let's do it first, and for that let's switch to my screen view. Here we are. And first of all, before I dive in, I need to switch my music collection to an empty collection or a different library. because, hold on, let's take the empty collection, which is not really empty, but hey, you can live with that. I did switch it to my current collection, which is huge and which will cause music a long time to start up, and for that reason I rather switch it back. Here we are in the test collection. Let me empty it out. So let's do it like this, and then I don't need this, go away, and also go away. And now we have an empty collection, as you can see. And then let's go to Rekordbox, and I don't know if I have a collection in this Rekordbox, otherwise we will make one. It isn't that hard. So here we are, we have the Rekordbox, and let's see what we have in Rekordbox. I've got a playlist there, I've got some process tracks there. Nothing really much, but in the DJ Converse utility, no, there are just, no, that doesn't really seem like a valid collection. So let me create an empty Rekordbox collection and just create 2 or 3 playlists, just for fun and giggles, to show you how that works. Library, and then let's trace this one, and then let's create an empty one like this. Now we got an empty Rekordbox collection, which you will see in a moment. Okay, and then let's go to the playlist part, and let's create a new playlist. Playlist folder, and then within it let's create the test playlist. Test, and let's take some test tracks in it. Not too much, because this is just a quick thingy to show you how this is done. Analyze the tracks for BPM and grid, and everything else, why not? There we go. And then let's take the mouse whatever track and give that a color. There it is, a red color, so I remember which track I used to test. And let's give it a cue there. I do that on purpose, I give it 2 cues, so you can see why I do that. So we have this little playlist collection. The first step is always exporting the collection to a Rekordbox XML, like this. And if you name that Rekordbox and you put it in at the root of the documents folder, then the DJ Converse utility will automatically find it. So let's quit Rekordbox here. And let's start up the DJ Converse utility, which is there. And there we have Rekordbox XML as a source, and we tell it that we want to go to iTunes or music. And then we simply say start conversion. And then we just have to tell it that we want to have the test playlist, and then it will recreate that playlist within iTunes automatically. Now, mind you that my apps will warn you if you let iTunes in control of the audio files locations, which I don't recommend, because that messes up your file paths and everything else. If I go to iTunes right now, you can see that there is a playlist DJ Converse utility, and within it you have from Rekordbox, Rekordbox playlists, my playlists, tests. There you are. So there we have the test playlist. Now, of course, you don't have cues and loops, because that's not something music does. But why did I give it a cue and loop? Let me go back right now to my Rekordbox collection. And like I said, because my apps will warn you if iTunes or music tries to copy audio files, which I don't recommend. And if you don't copy them, then the file path remains the same and your cues and loops remain intact. So if I go to the music part, hold on, this one, within iTunes, and then we go to playlists, and most likely I have to refresh that, so let's refresh that. Then you find that same DJ Converse utility playlist there. And why is it not showing everything there? I don't know. Rekordbox, and it doesn't show deep nesting, I guess, which is odd. Let me try something else. Since we are just here together all along, let me try something else, because as you can see, there should be a very deep nesting structure there, and Rekordbox should be capable of showing you that. But let me export the library the old-fashioned way. This is the old-fashioned way. Export the library to a library XML. Yeah, replace that. That is something different than a Rekordbox XML. This is the iTunes Music XML. I know it is confusing, but what I'm going to do right now is tell Rekordbox to use the iTunes XML instead of the framework. iTunes XML is what always was used before the framework existed, and you can see it right there, iTunes XML. And let's browse to make sure that it is indeed using the correct one. It is using the correct one. And then let me see if it shows the nesting, because that's what I'm interested in. There we go again. Refresh. No, it still doesn't show you the nesting. It shows you the tracks, but it doesn't show the nesting, which is weird. But hey, welcome to the world of Rekordbox. Now let me unnest it a little bit. Let's see what happens then, because now I want to know, to get to the source of the problem. So I go back to music, and then we pick up this one, my playlist, and we just say my playlist to the top, like this. And now let's see what Rekordbox says. This, oh, I need to go to the framework again. I haven't noticed this before, so this is all freestyling and seeing what's happening. And by the way, this is the new Rekordbox 7.1.2. More about that later. I saw already a question about it. Let's use the framework. Thank you. Let's go there. Let's refresh this. It still doesn't show me the playlist. That's funny. This is the reason why, folks. My fault. I need to synchronize the iTunes playlist. Say sync. Sync it up. All of them. And that should fix it. There you go. Now they are there. And we still got that track with the cues, as you can see. And if I load it up, the cues will still be there that I set in Rekordbox. So I access the same audio file. Because I do that, Rekordbox still knows the cues and loops for that audio file, and because of that, you can see it. Don't forget to use the sync manager to synchronize everything, because otherwise this will go wrong. I hope that answered your question though. Now let's go back to where I was. Though didn't realize that you could go to music. Yeah, you can do that. 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗲 is in the building. 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗲, good to see you. Thank you. DJ Mark, reflections, light and sound. What new come in the software update 7.1.2? I think you are talking about Rekordbox, and we get to that in a moment. Just give me a minute. And Doe says that is beautiful. All right, let's see what we have in the news front. First of all, indeed, that Rekordbox update. Rekordbox, our friends from Pioneer DJ / AlphaTheta, released a new version of Rekordbox 7.1.2. And if you want to know what is new, then it's not that much. Added an old track at the top of the playlist tree view. Select all tracks to see the collection. It is possible to drag and drop tracks from the old tracks to the playlist view. Let's go back to that Rekordbox collection. Let's see what they mean by that, because this really doesn't ring a bell to me, but you never know. Might be useful. So let's see, I've got an, this is new. The old tracks, right here, this one, this is new. There used to be only playlists, under playlists, but now you can see all the tracks, which indeed can be useful because then you don't have to switch to that view anymore. You can do it from that view. So that is the big new. And then of course we have the usual fixes and other stuff that they don't say. Occasionally the recording can start in performance mode, improve stability and other minor fixes. That's it. So I think that all tracks segment is the most notable thing about it. Talking about AlphaTheta, talking about Pioneer DJ, they released something that nobody expected from them, not me indeed, which is a USB. And that USB is the same USB as I got right here, a SanDisk Extreme Ultra Dual Pro drive. It was one of the fastest in my tests. It even is priced reasonable. It is priced the same as the SanDisk is, so there is no markup for having Rekordbox on the USB. It is still approximately the same price as the SanDisk equivalent. What is the big difference between those two drives? And for that we have to deep dive into formatting USBs. And what better than to show you, so let's do that. Let's hide those remind, and let me get a USB, which is the dual USB in. We all know about horror stories about people who complain that the equipment didn't read their USB for whatever reason. And most of the time that is a user error because it was formatted the wrong way. On every Mac, if you go to the applications folder and you go to the utilities folder and there you find the disk utility. And the disk utility is Apple's utility to format drives in general and USBs in particular. And right here you can see the SanDisk Extreme. Now if you have this view, the show only volumes view on, you will have fewer options, because if I then select the untitled drive and I say erase, I only can specify the format. I cannot specify how that thing is partitioned. Now those of you who have watched me longer know that usually I have the show all devices view on, like this. And if you have that view on and you select the top level of the device, so this is the volume level and this is the device level, and I then say, where's my USB? There it is again. If I then say erase, I all of a sudden have the possibility to specify the partitioning scheme. And you have basically two very important ones. You have the guide partitioning mode, that is also known as a GPT, guide partitioning table. And you have the master boot record mode. Master boot record is older than the guide mode. It's an older technology. However, it's much more compatible. All the SanDisk USBs out of the gate are these days GPT partitioned, so guide partitioned, and that gives compatibility issues where it is very easy to reformat them as a master boot record, macOS Extended or FAT32 drive, and then you'll be fine. That is the big difference, because AlphaTheta decided that their branded USBs will come master boot record partitioned as a default, just to make sure that it is as compatible as possible. That's the only difference. For the rest, it is exactly the same USB. But still, kudos for AlphaTheta for bringing their own drive or their own branded drive to the market at the same price level as the original, because this will take away a lot of confusion by users which USB is best to use. Now it's simple. AlphaTheta's one, because that's the one they guarantee to work with everything if you do the correct things. So yeah, I'm for that. Then another update that dropped was Serato. Serato had an update 3.3.2. And for those of you interested in what is new with that one, it is mainly very old gear. So you can now use it with the Native Instrument Tractor Control Z2, the Pioneer djay DDJ RB, the Serato DJ Pro. Old controllers, that is what is new in this update. And yes, I am always for support for more controllers, even if it are old controllers, because the more controllers you support with your software, the more people can use it. So I'm totally for that. That were the news items that I wanted to discuss. Now let me see if I can find some other things or have some other questions. Simon Schimel, good evening. I have all of my music offline imported into my collection on my Mac. I have been manually copying the files from my Mac to an iPad, but this seems to be a bit clunky. If I go the Apple Music playlist route, then don't I lose access to smart playlists within my collection? Simon, first of all, what is your collection? Is that a Serato collection, a Tractor collection, a Rekordbox collection, an DJ collection, an algorithm DJ collection? So what is your collection? And in general, I don't recommend any cloud services, even not with music. Within music, you have the possibility, if you have a subscription to the music streaming services of Apple, to replace your tracks with cloud versions and 4A versions. But trust me, as a DJ, you don't want to do that. You just want your offline stored audio files. And I hear you when it comes to pain, when you have to synchronize it with an iOS device. I have to do that with my 2 terabyte iPad also. And it's a pain, it sucks, I totally get it. But it's the only thing that works. And that works reliably. So usually when I'm not in a hurry, I just hook it all up and let it synchronize for, let's say, the better part of the evening, and then everything is happy and I can use it again. But don't think that you can outsmart the system by using Apple Music streaming service with the replace original with the streaming varieties. That will give you only troubles regardless of what your DJ software is. Nothing beats having your audio files on a separate volume, synchronizing it to iOS, and having everything ordered, structured in Apple Music so you can sync it to your iPad. That's the way how I do it, and it is not pretty, it is not fast, but it is very reliable, which in the end I think is the most important aspect of how you should structure your workflow, if you like. Then there is a question from 𝐻𝐿𝐿 𝐁𝐿𝐿, a Dutch guy who actually had 2 questions. So let's first drop the first question of 𝐻𝐿𝐿 in the chat. And there it is, and let me show that. There it is. 𝐻𝐿𝐿 is wondering, hold on, how many tracks do you have in your real-life algorithm DJ database, and how big has it grown in terms of megabytes? I currently have around 4,500 tracks in my collection, and the database is roughly 860 megabytes. With that, the startup times is about 30 seconds, which is quite a lot. To be honest, DJs should be pretty quick when it comes to starting up. So before I went live, and let me take this off and let me close this out. I did put my real-life algorithm DJ collection on this part of the computer in the Filmpjes account. But I have to admit, I kind of doubt if this is my real collection, because it is only 750 megabytes big, as you can see. Now, mind you, if you just look at the DJ folder, that might be much bigger, because there can be shitloads of backups there. There can be recordings there, so that can be a lot bigger than what you actually see. But right now it says 741 megabyte, and that is a little bit small. So I think I have made a mistake the last time I did update this. and I have to redo it again or have to revisit this again. But this says 741 megabyte. Now let me fire up algorithm DJ. This, by the way, is an Intel computer. This is not an M4 or an M1 computer, but as you can see, it starts up pretty quickly. And if I look at my collection right here, this is the DJ collection. If I look at music, it says 1073 songs, which is way too low. It should be over 100,000. So for that reason, I think I made a mistake somewhere and I have to get it back from a backup. No biggie. Because also when you look at the DJ conversion utility folder, it tells you that there are 1108 tracks there, which it can mostly not can be found. So for that reason, I can look inside. Yeah, this seems to be updated recently. So I don't know why it's telling me that it is not everything there, but I'm good with that. I'm just using DJ as a backup and not as my primary system yet. So that's what it is. Now, if you say it is getting slow, that can have a couple of reasons. Of course, first, your computer will be a very decisive factor in that. But other factors are you using iTunes/music to structure your playlists, as I am doing? We just made a very small iTunes playlist, which means that going here is very quick, as you can see. Now let me show you what happens if I go to my real life iTunes collection, and for that I can start up iTunes or music with the Alt key down, with the Option key down, so I get this dialog, and then I can choose my library and tell it that I want to have the music current version, which is here. This will take some time because this is a very big collection, as you might imagine. So like I said, this will take time to load. It is not even starting to load because now it's starting to load, as you can see. And this will take some time. And before we can use this, I have to wait for this to load. So we have to wait a little bit for this to load in order to show you how that influences startup times for other things. Same thing, by the way, if you are using streaming services. I noticed that, for instance, having Tidal enabled within Serato can slow it down during startup because it tries to get a lot of information from Tidal while it is starting up. But I can imagine the same is happening if you use Beatport streaming or BeatSource or Apple Music. That also can be an influence by the startup time of your DJ or whatever DJ software you are using is slow. Now I'm still waiting for this to happen, so let's wait a little bit longer, because if it's not complete, then you will see that it will take some time. In the meantime, folks, we are coming to the end of the things that I wanted to ask, which means that if you got a question for me, just drop it in the chat and I'm happy to answer that, because if I go through all the questions that I had in advance, then I will stop the stream after that. There's no need to keep it open longer than required. So if you got a question for me, let me know it in the chat, or if you're watching this from an archive, put it in one of the comments below. And we are still waiting for my iTunes to load. I warned you guys, this is going to take some time. Especially if you switch between collections, which I just did. Because for obvious reasons, I want to have a small collection to help Doe with his question to go from Rekordbox to iTunes/music. So we are still in the waiting process. And then you have to be patient. By the way, for those interested, I just finished Andor, the Star Wars series on Disney, and it's absolutely amazing. It is so great. I cannot tell you how great it is. Of course, I'm a big Star Wars fan, as you can see behind me, but I have a real-size Darth Vader here. I've got Han Solo on carbonite here, so yes, I'm a Star Wars fan. And my favorite Star Wars film always was Empire Strikes Back. And Andor made me feel like Empire Strikes Back again. I really was very happy when Rogue One came out because I didn't expect that to be as good as it was. It was for me on par with Empire Strikes Back. And Rogue One is simply an extension of that. It is so great. So I can recommend everybody to watch that. Alright, let's not wait for this to finish because that can take some long time. Because Almar also had the second question. What exactly gets stored in the DJ database? Does it include the related track info as well? Yes, it does include the related track info. In short, the related data or the algorithm DJ database, and that is the database if you go inside your music folder, inside the DJ folder, and then you've got the DJ media library right here. Now if you right click that and you say show package contents, then you find the media library DB, and that, my friend, is your algorithm database. So that is the database, there is actually everything stored that is DJ related, from playlists to related tracks, from cues and loops to track colors and everything in between. The only thing that is not stored in the database are the artwork files, so the little previews you get, and the analysis files. Those are stored different on a different location. But everything else, then the media library DB will contain everything that is DJ related. So I hope that answers Almar's question. And let's hide this one. And in the meantime, you can see that my Rekordbox has started up. And as you can see, we are talking 109,000 tracks almost. So that's the reason why it takes so long. Now, if I quit this, then everything is updated. So if I go to my algorithm DJ right now, it will still start up pretty decently fast, because if you are in the DJ part, that will already be available. But you can see that if I go to the iTunes part, the local music part, then indeed it gets slower because it needs to access that huge amount of data from music, and that slows it down. It's even worse with Serato, because in DJ I can already work, I can already load the track, and that's all working fine. I cannot access it from the music part, but at least I can do something. In Serato, you are basically fucked until it has read everything from iTunes and beyond, which can easily take like 5 minutes in my case. So for that reason, there are more factors than what meets the eye that influence the startup time of your DJ software. Then I see some other questions appearing. Let's see. Caesar Alice, what's the easiest way to transfer music to a newer iPad 12.9 with USB-C to use with DJ? That's actually what I'm using. I have a newer iPad with USB-C, and I use Apple of Music, the exact location you just saw, or the exact collection you just saw. However, I bought myself a Mac Mini M4, which is my home room computer and kind of my traveling computer, because it is so fast, and I use that particular machine to synchronize everything to both my iPhone and my iPad from music. And that works wonderfully well. It's very reliable, not very fast, because syncing from a macOS device to an iOS device never is fast, but it is manageable. I've seen worst situations, so that's what I use. DJ Matt Official, love Star Wars 2. Had a question, DM you last week on Instagram device. Yeah, that was my last question, DJ Matt, because that is indeed the question that was asked. And that is this question that DJ Matt Official is asking. Let me put it in the chat. There we are. I didn't realize that that was the same guy, Matt, but hey, thank you for your question. I got it. Matt Wood is interested to hear my views of older equipment, for instance the CDJ 3000 or the RX3 to get a firmware update in the future to run Device Library Plus. Now, what does this question mean? First of all, what is Device Library Plus? Device Library Plus is a new storage format that Pioneer DJ/AlphaTheta developed for Rekordbox export. Reason for that is that the old export system is very arcane. It's very, very old, and it has a lot of problems with modern things. Actually, it's not built for that. It was built for cheap CPUs that were not very powerful and to get the maximum out of that. But there's always this balance. The less options you have, the easier it is for less capable resources to use it. And the more options you have, the more resources you need to get more powerful CPUs, etc. you need in order to access it. So last year, Pioneer DJ AlphaTheta decided with the 𝐻𝗵𝗃𝗄 that it was time for a new format to coexist next to the existing old arcane format, and they call that Device Library Plus. And if you export from a Rekordbox collection, you can see that there are two libraries written, one the old one and one the Device Library Plus. All new gear uses the Device Library Plus, or all old gear doesn't. And that also has actually the answer to your question here, Matt, because old gear doesn't have the resources to handle the modern data, or doesn't meet the requirements to handle the data in the Device Library Plus. So the odds that even reasonably new, like the CDJ 3000 hardware, can access Device Library Plus in the future with a firmware update is none, because it doesn't have the resources in order to handle that. And keep that in mind. Will that be a problem in the future? I don't think so, because the old Device Library support will exist for a very long time to come. But there are situations where I can see that Device Library Plus is a requirement to use modern technologies. Let's say, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but Engine DJ did include stems, and those are pre-processed stems in their standalone gear, which means you need a computer to process a track to create stems out of it. Then you export that to a USB and you can access those stems on the gear, on the USB. Those kinds of functionality, I can only imagine AlphaTheta/Pioneer DJ is going to work on it as well. And for that reason, you most likely need the Device Library Plus compatibility. But until that time, you're totally fine with having no access to the Device Library Plus. And I can't see that coming to all the gear with a firmware update, simply because the resources are not there to handle it. So I hope that answers your question, Matt. And that also means that I came to the end of all the topics that I wanted to discuss for this Tuesday. Of course, I try to be back next Tuesday if there is enough news, because I'm not doing this stream if I don't have much to talk about. So if you've got questions, ask them in the comments. And for those of you who are with me right now, I will stay on a little longer to see if there are some live questions. But if they don't pop up, then that means that we are going to close the live stream for this week. And you have to wait for next week to get your questions answered. Let's see if I have more on my list. No, my list is entirely finished here. That leaves me only one thing. Thank you for hanging out with me on a Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock p.m. Central European time, to talk all DJ technology and to nerd out about it. Don't forget, our friends from Digital DJ Tips did run my speed test, my USB export speed test. So you can find out the information on digitaldjtips.co.uk or .com in the news section. I see some questions coming up. Cesar asks, with the DJ conversion utility, would I be able to transfer the changing bit grids to another program, Serato or Engine? Yes and no. The DJ conversion utility can convert bit grids. If you want to convert to if you want to convert to engine OS gear, then you need the Denon conversion utility. But the Denon conversion utility, I limited that to static beat grids and not to dynamic beat grids on purpose, because the way Denon DJ implemented dynamic grid notations in their soft and hardware just sucks. It doesn't make any sense, and that's also the reason why they can't get it right themselves, because the way they notate it, the way they store it, doesn't make any sense. And for that reason, if dynamic grids are your thing and Engine DJ is your end platform, that won't fly, forget about it. 𝗷𝗻𝗿𝗄 Sanchez, thank you again, Mixmaster G. See you soon on Tuesday. Indeed, 𝗷𝗻𝗿, and thank you for hanging out with me. And Do the DJ, thanks for your help as always. Do, good to have you with me as always each Tuesday. Appreciate you, and appreciate each and every one of the regulars who just spent the Tuesday evening with me talking DJ stuff. I'll be back next Tuesday. For now, thank you for watching. Mixmaster G, signing off.